Today we're chatting with 5-year vet Chris Moore. He's been with us ever since we moved from the old gym. If you don't know that, we moved locations, and he was instrumental in helping us move and was one of our biggest supporters during the COVID era of gyms, which was quite a blast. So
it sucked.
Thank you so much for your support, Chris, and we're very excited to hear your story today.
Cool.
He's lost over 50 pounds with us and probably more, and I'm going to let him share his story today. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Good to be here.
You excited?
Yeah.
Let's do this, bud. You ready?
Do it, buddy.
Let's get right into it. All right. So we're going to start at the beginning. So can you share back when you first started, what kind of initially motivated you to start your fitness journey over 5 years ago?
Well, it was my best friend, Ken, who was a Red Wolf member for a couple years prior to me starting, was constantly on me like, bro, you got to start. You got to start it. And I kept saying, I'm going to wait till I get a little bit more fit because it looks pretty gnarly, and just kept putting it off. It was probably a couple years of that consistent pressure from him that finally got me to step in and start that CrossFit journey. Prior to starting with CrossFit, I would consider myself athletic through my childhood into my teenage years and even into my 20s. But what happened for me was I took about 10 years of my life where I wasn't doing much other than hanging out with friends, occasionally riding a mountain bike, and my body, I gained a bunch of weight. I got comfortable. My wife and I had a kid, and it was really daunting stepping into something as what I interpreted as intense physical fitness, which was CrossFit. I mean, I see people doing, strict pull-ups, a lot of different movements that I thought I'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, but yeah, Ken got me in there. And I just never looked back, just kept showing up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. What would you tell someone who is on the fence and, they kind of have the same perception of you to where, hey, this is intense. Mm-hmm. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, you got to go at your own pace and understand that everybody around you started this journey brand new. Very few people walk into CrossFit with an extensive fitness background and being in great shape. I think a lot of people end up at CrossFit because it gives them more of a organized way to work out. Because for me, working out, just showing up at a gym and doing my own thing never worked. So I think for most people coming in brand new, it is going to be intimidating. But the thing that made it less intimidating was the support from you and Caitlin, your coaches, and a lot of the other members. You end up really showing up a lot of time for yourself, but also another part of that is you show up to spend time with the people that are going through the same journey with you. And the support that was there made a big difference for me. Not coming into something with the expectation that I was going to be able to, when I was in high school, I could squat like a madman.
Yeah.
I was a football player. I think I hit 420 on my squat at one point when I was 17 years old.
That's awesome.
I came into CrossFit thinking, oh yeah, I can do that. No problem. I'll get back to that. Man, that's not the case at all. But I think for a lot of people coming in that are scared, nervous, the support from everybody is really what made it easier for me to keep coming back.
That's fantastic. I love that. What, how much of that do you think makes a difference in terms of actually being able to sustain your fitness?
Well, it makes a huge part because, like I said, you're not necessarily just showing up for yourself. Like if it weren't for having friends at the gym, it wouldn't have motivated myself as much to show up. And also I think having that welcoming, supportive group with you and Caitlin and the coaches, always willing to help me scale a workout, always willing to help me, find a new stretch that's going to help something that I'm ailing with. That for the long term, I think that's what keeps people coming back is just knowing that support is there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's a huge reason that keeps me going because I'm not going to lie. I used to train all the time by myself. I started CrossFit by myself. And there was a season where I was doing only competitive CrossFit stuff. So I had to train on my own because it wasn't geared towards, the general population. And it was a huge relief to actually come back and only work out with classes because same problem. Even though I was doing CrossFit, it was very hard on my day-to-day of staying motivated. I wasn't working out with anyone. And so I feel 10 times better working out with the classes. And I actually feel like I'm able to sustain this a lot longer because I show up, I do the warm up with everyone, I do the workout, I fist bump everyone, and then I'm done, just like everybody else.
And it pushes you too. I mean, if you're consistently working out with close friends, there's a competitive edge to it too. So the stronger you get, the more fit you get, your friends are going to push you. The coaches are going to push you. So that is really a big deal for me because I'm always going to default to what feels comfortable.
Yeah.
If I'm by myself.
I mean, who doesn't, right?
If somebody's pushing me, then it's going to make a big difference. And I think that's a huge jump with CrossFit versus just showing up to a regular, global gym.
Yeah. And it kind of gamifies it too, because it becomes something where, I'm not here to only work out to look good. I'm here to work out to improve some of my personal stats or PRs. I'm here to have some friendly competition with a buddy of mine just so we can have bragging rights or a drink later. So
yeah, exactly.
It's fun to do that because it kind of takes your mind off the fitness aspect, even though that's ultimately what you're there for. It kind of gives you a healthy distraction,
right?
And which helps it be a little more sustainable because it's more than just working out. That's awesome. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced during your fitness journey through these, 5+ years, and how did you overcome them?
So I've got a background of military and law enforcement. Part of that for me was working. So one of the struggles I have always had with intense physical workouts is I tied physical workouts that are intense and the pain and suffering that goes along with that, along with some of the stuff that I had experienced in my earlier years. Because a lot of times, obviously, especially when you're during intense training, you're penalized. So part of you being penalized in say a boot camp or an academy is you're going to do push-ups until you throw up. You're going to run until you fall over.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a lot of it early on was overcoming that when my body hit that limit, was overcoming some kind of emotional tie that I had to like being punished.
Yeah.
And that might be strange. It might be the first time you've ever heard something like that. But
I 100% agree with you.
But definitely that was one thing that kind of came in for me. That once working through that and realizing that, hey, I'm doing this to myself, I can take a breather if I need to. And then I started to kind of emotionally just calm down and get into more of a groove with the regular routine of CrossFit.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that. I know exactly what you're saying because, I'm not in the military or I wasn't in law enforcement, but I did play competitive sports. And so it was the same thing. It was like, if you mess up, go run or go do push-ups, go do burpees, go do this. It's like, fitness was used as a punishment. I know a lot of people associate that with our generation just because from either gym class or something where fitness was usually associated with discomfort or humiliation or punishment. And so it's interesting these days though, kind of like a frame shift of where, at least with my kids, I try and show them like, hey, fitness is completely optional and we do this for fun and we do this because it's good for us. You don't have to do it. You don't have to go hard. And so I'm trying to teach them that so that way they don't have the same experience I did growing up because I had a similar experience as you. And I remember, and the only reason that got me out of that was because I was in enough pain to where, not physical pain, but emotional pain to where it was worth it for me to put myself through all that discomfort physically in order to get something else, a different outcome on the other side. That's very interesting. And I think a lot of people associate fitness or hard physical discomfort with that, hence why the population keeps getting more and more obese, even with the abundance of fitness knowledge out there, which is very frustrating on my part.
We've never had more information, more beneficial information on how to be fit than we have now.
Yeah.
And
And so much good information out. I would actually argue there's more good information out there than bad, because we're able to filter it a little bit better. And yet things still are progressively getting worse. Now I know this is kind of off subject, but what's your opinion on that? I'm just curious to hear.
Well, there's so much information out there. You really have to just focus on where the source. I mean, you have to have faith in the source that you're getting your information from, because if you really dive into everybody's opinion and what works for them, it becomes, you get lost in it.
Yeah.
I think that if enough people focus on what really works and then collectively push that into their gyms, like you guys do a great job of, like, protein, for instance. I never had an idea that I needed close to 150, 180 grams of protein daily.
Right.
I do. And you know what? It made a huge difference in my muscle once I started increasing my protein intake.
Yeah, for sure.
That was kind of one of the things that is known throughout, bodybuilding and fitness, but truly hearing it from you and implementing it made a big difference for me.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take the compliment. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to start making more content, was because, people would always come to me and they're like, hey, Matt, should I do this? I saw this person or this influencer or this YouTube thing, or do this. Even when it came to just prepping for CrossFit movements. And I was like, hey, like, all that information is actually good, but it's very broad and it works for 80% of the population. But I know you personally, and this is actually what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to help a little bit more, because I know the person individually, and I can give them the best information that will actually apply for them. So I actually do serve as a filter, because, like I said, there's a lot of really good information out there, but like, how can we refine that good information to where it's specific towards you,
right,
and to where you're not wasting time spinning your wheels?
Yeah.
No, I loved your opinion on that. That was really good. So you've lost over 50 pounds now, right? Have you lost more, or is right?
No, it's about 50. I came in, I remember the day getting on the scale at Red Wolf, because, I was trying to trend the beginning of my journey. And yeah, I laid down, I think, 225 pounds when I started. I'm about 5'11", 5'10" and a half. I was, and I didn't even do the breakdown, with the in-body. So having really no idea at that point, muscle versus fat. But I look back on, because back then we were taking a lot of pictures during the workouts. Yeah. And I saved every one of them.
Yeah, you look amazing. You look younger now.
I'm going on 51.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were 51. You look amazing.
51. Thanks, brother.
I would say you were like 42.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And a lot of it has to do with the fact of spending the last 5 years of my life consistently with Red Wolf. 50 pounds and it's obviously, it's up and down a little bit.
Right.
But at most, from 225 down to 175 at my leanest. Hit my leanest probably just after COVID, obviously. I had a COVID journey like a lot of us did. I got sick for a month, lost a bunch of weight, came back and kind of had to restart. Yeah. And I'm kind of in a restart now, recovering from a shoulder injury. Yeah. I think for me, it was really hard. My first goal was, my goal was, let's hit 200 pounds. I want to work out till I hit 200 pounds. And it's funny. I remember I look back on pictures. I'm not a big facial hair guy. Yeah. But I made a point. I'm not going to shave until I hit 200 pounds.
Wow. So I like that.
So if you look back on my early Red Wolf pictures, I always had this big, and I don't look 51, but even 5 years ago, I have the white beard. Yeah. So I had this big white beard working out, and finally I hit 199 and I shaved that thing off.
That's awesome. That's a cool, little reminder, daily reminder that you have. That's actually awesome. I never heard of that before. Yeah.
But I definitely, for the biggest thing for me, I think was, eating at home. I mean, really focusing on diet. Diet is, I think that one of the great things you guys do is you emphasize how important diet is. Working out's great, but if you go home and eat in and out every day, and in your diet, you're not getting your protein, you're not getting what you need, you're not going to get the gains that you want. Yeah. And it's going to just take a lot longer for you to get where you want to be. But definitely for me, I stopped drinking alcohol. And it was never a problem. It was just a matter of, I want to do the best that I can do to stay healthy at this age.
Right.
You know, I got kind of a late start getting back into becoming more fit. So part of that for me is just, you know, eating better, drinking lots of good things, and cutting out a lot of the bad stuff. So not shaming anybody, you know, I enjoy
It's okay.
it, you know, but for me, it was just an easier choice just to cut it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it made a big difference. That was one of the big things, because we own a place out in Arizona, and we always have friends, and it's always a big party thing.
Yeah.
And I'm now the designated driver, and I hope everybody appreciates that.
It is convenient though to know who's the consistent one on the DD.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's a great story. Going off of what you said earlier, you mentioned that you kind of got into restart mode after COVID, and now you're kind of in another restart mode.
Yeah.
Would you say that since you built a good baseline like years before, that kind of helped?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, one of the big things I use is kind of a metric for myself is I always really was proud of my strict pull-up. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I spent a lot of time working on. And I definitely can tell you today that I look back on my attendance, and I think from probably last summer until probably February of this year, I was really maybe showing up 2-3 times a month.
Wow.
And everything. Yeah, I didn't even maintain my strength. But then again, I was trying to focus on healing my shoulder, but I realized now, me spending time out of the gym to try and heal my shoulder was only making my shoulder worse. As soon as I came back and started lifting again, my shoulder pain went away.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's like I should know better, right? I think I should know better. I dabbled in jiu-jitsu last year, hurt my shoulder.
Interesting.
I love jiu-jitsu, want to get back into it, but man, I tell you, after the first few experiences, I just don't want to hurt myself to the point where I'm going to stay away from CrossFit. So if I have a choice, I'm going to come back and maintain CrossFit way more, and maybe not so much focus on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming back, so going back to the strict pull-ups, using that as a kind of a guideline, I would comfortably be able to do, at my best, probably 10 strict pull-ups.
Right.
And now I'm probably comfortably at 3.
Oh, wow.
So, but I think because I have that baseline, I think it's going to come back faster.
I think it will too.
I just have to focus on it.
Yeah, especially coming back from a shoulder injury. I'm actually surprised that you're able to do 3 already. Yeah. Because I know you've been out for a while. So, but that just shows the importance of being, that you can build a huge base and afford to take a little bit of time off. And then when you come back, like you're actually not starting from ground zero.
Right.
And I think a lot of people beat themselves up because they're like, well, I stopped for, a month or 2. I'm starting back at baseline, and that's not necessarily the case. I think you build up, especially if you have like a year or 2 of fitness underneath you, have consistency. It's really easy to actually start building back up again. Yeah. So, okay, awesome. Let's. I know you kind of brought this up earlier. I want to kind of retouch on it, but how has being a part of the Red Wolf CrossFit community supported your journey? Oh,
I've been epic. I've made great friends. I think for me, I'm not really social. I have a very tight group of people around me. Mm-hmm. And, but I think one of the biggest things that kept me coming back again was just the community, the bonds you make. 'Cause something happens when we are suffering together. It goes back to my military days. Mm-hmm. Like, if we're all just in horrible pain, we're suffering, we're cold, we're, whatever the condition might be, you bond with people over those type of environments. Yeah. And I think when you consistently see the same people, you learn about their family, you start to learn about their lives, you become friends, you go out to lunch, it's, I've made great friends. And I think that has been, for me, certainly one of the things that keeps me coming back. And I think the closeness I have with you and your family is definitely, that's what hands down has always been seeing you guys is always kind of a highlight of my day, because it's always a smile. And I know, hey, we're all going through stuff. We got families, we got jobs, we got stress. But to kind of to get away from all of that for an hour a day and see the faces that see the people you like to see, and suffer with them, have a good time, and then end up your quality of life is improved because of it. So like I said, outside of all of the stresses of life, everything that's going on, to take that hour and I usually stay over a little bit and kind of hang out and do a little bit of extra, but yeah, it's the Red Wolf community. I wish I had started earlier. Yeah, I really do. I wish I started earlier. But I'm glad I can't believe I'm 5 years in already.
I know. Well, I've had the pleasure of watching your entire journey, and I remember distinctly, I think it was like a year or two ago, that I saw an old picture of you. I remember I showed it to you, and I was like, oh my God, you look completely different. Yeah. And it's funny that even we don't realize it until we can actually do a compare and contrast. Yeah. And it's really cool to be a part of that journey, and to see you grow, and to see you lose all that weight, and to see how amazing you look now relative to when you first started. And I can't believe that. 5 years is a long time.
It is. And I think I was looking at like my total workouts is like 780 total. That's
it's a lot of workouts.
So but yeah, the community, it's been amazing. And like I said, I think my biggest regret is just that I didn't find you guys earlier, or that I didn't take Ken's advice and jump in quicker. Yeah. Because I think being in the 7 years versus 5 years, I think my fitness journey, I think that my gains would be even better. I'd be doing the things that I kind of am hopefully going to be able to do at some point during my CrossFit journey. Yeah.
I know I kind of asked a version of this question earlier, but let's say someone has been pushing off their fitness for years, not necessarily CrossFit, just fitness in general. Yeah. Like, what's the number one piece of advice to like just get them off their butt and do something today?
Do what you can do. If your knees hurt, walk. Mm-hmm. If your back hurts, ride a bike. There's always something. I've got, my wife always says my hobbies have hobbies. I've got road bikes, I've got mountain bikes, I've got weight sets, I've got benches. We had the bike, the rower, and all that stuff. Whatever works for you, do something, because something is better than nothing, and your body will respond amazingly to whatever you're going to give it. So if you go out and walk the dogs for, 45 minutes at night and start doing that, guess what? Your knees aren't going to hurt anymore. Guess what? You're going to start losing weight. And it's like whatever you can do to make any step towards fitness it's what works for you. I know for most people, like for myself, I think my healthy weight's probably 180, 185. Mm-hmm. So I was at 225 walking into CrossFit, and I felt like I don't belong here. This is not going to work. But I was wrong. Because the weight started falling off really fast. Yeah. Because I was there 4 or 5 days a week. I've pushed myself to do it. And I think the big thing is don't let the physical strain and pain of the workouts deter you. Your body will tell you when, hey, this hurts, or my heart rate's too high, I need to slow down. Scale, but get there. If you have to do body weight workouts where everyone else is doing, with weights, that's fine. Nobody cares if you're not, going in there and setting PRs. Nobody cares. They're going to support you just as much. So I think that, if you're coming in and you're struggling, just do something. Get on the bike for half an hour, whatever it is. We'll be there to support you. I've seen people come in and have amazing changes similar to mine. And, it's life-changing. It really is. And I think, I just hope you and Caitlin are really proud of what you've done, because knowing, you might look at it as, hey, we own a CrossFit gym. We have these members and, we coach people, but the reality of it is you're changing lives. You're helping people accomplish things that they probably would never do on their own. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being one of those success stories.
Yeah, for sure, buddy.
Excuse me. I guess that was a great explanation. That was wonderful. I love that. The only thing I think I would add just as a coach would be that we all start at ground zero. Everyone has. I have. Every single coach I've ever had has started with zero fitness experience. I spent years learning this on my own and hiring my coaches. And believe me, I was extremely uncomfortable the first time I set foot into a gym. So I know exactly what it's like. And the best way to get started is to stop waiting for the perfect time, because you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
Because regardless of if you're intimidated or not, you got to kind of get over that. And that's actually, I hate to say it, but reality check that it's actually your ego that's holding you back. It's not lack of ego. It's actually your ego, because you're afraid to look stupid in front of other people.
Right.
You're afraid to fail in front of other people. Yeah. And guess what? I guarantee you I've failed more times in front of people than I can count.
And it's really hard for, like, with my background, there was times where I was at my top. I was super fit. And I meet with a lot of fellow veterans all the time. And, most of us, they're sitting down drinking a scotch and smoking a cigar. That's how we cope. That's how we walk through a lot of the things that we've gone through in life. And that doesn't help us if we're only in our, if we're in our 40s, 30s. That's not the way to do it. If you want to, one of the big things is going from being healthy, being fit, being strong, to I'm a dad, I go to work 9 to 5, and I just put on 40 pounds of weight. This is my life. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with you.
Unacceptable. But it happens. It happens a lot. Stress, fear, a lot of the mental health stuff that we deal with, it definitely has an impact on our desire to get out there and get strong and fit again. But it's a hard hit to the ego. You brought up ego, and definitely, from being a fit individual, a fit, military law enforcement guy, because, part of survival in that realm is being fit, being able to, do your thing. Watching yourself kind of get comfortable, it's a real common thing. But when stepping back into the gym and expecting that 420 squat in that first year,
right?
I don't think it's ever going to happen, nor should it happen. I'll probably hurt myself trying to do that.
Well, it's like you don't really need that right now.
I don't need it.
Yeah, it doesn't. How does that serve you?
But my ego was tapping me on the back, saying, "Hey, bro, you got this." No, don't. There's a limit to your what your ego's going to drive you to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I love that. That's a great way to put it. And one question I always ask people who I'm coaching, and I'm going to put my coaching my coaching hat on really quick, was, how is delaying this or putting it off or procrastinating, how does that serve you? And in the short term, it serves you because you're relieving yourself of temporary pain, but you're going to pay now or pay later regardless. And believe me, paying later has a much heavy cost. Yeah. You're accumulating a heavy debt that's going to end very poorly. And I've seen it multiple times, to the point where people come to me and it's too late. Yeah. I can't help them. You need a medical doctor. You are not cleared to work, even do physical activity. Yeah. And you are so inflamed. There's edema, inflammation. There's so much going on that I'm not comfortable even coaching you.
Right.
I don't feel like something bad can happen at any second. So go see your doctor and your physician and start doing stuff on your own or under the care of a very high level medical professional. And that's going to cost a lot more money and a lot more time and a lot more frustration than if you just start now. And, regardless, you're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you put it. So just get over with.
Yeah. The thing is, most people will tell you, I think in my experience, most people always say that as painful and as difficult as that workout was, they're really glad they went.
Yeah.
Once you're done or once you're cooling down, it's like, oh, I'm glad I did that. It really sucked while I was doing it, but you work hard, there's going to be results. I mean, I've got, I don't think I have been this fit since I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. But it's not too late. That's the thing I learned is when you look in the mirror and you think, oh, I can't do this. I'm not happy with how I look. I'm not happy with my knees hurt. My back hurts. Then you just go, okay, I'm going to go drink. I'm going to go eat.
Yeah,
I'm going to go satisfy myself and just kind of not worry about that anymore, because it's easier to just go and avoid it versus stopping that desire to continually ignore what your body's telling you. And once you make that step, and it's, I think one of the biggest things, you always talk about consistency. That is, for me, again, we go back to, some of the discussions we've had in the past. Showing up is 90% of your success. If you just keep showing up and doing your part, you're going to see results. You're going to get hooked on this. And as long as you don't hurt yourself, you're going to be good. You're going to be really happy with what you're doing with your body.
Yeah.
Because CrossFit's going to push you to eat better. It's going to push you to take better care of yourself, because if you're going to work that hard and take that much time, don't short yourself. You're going to eat better. You're going to, focus on your health a lot more.
Yeah. And typically what I see is it typically compounds naturally. Kind of like what you said, is that once you commit, and in about 90 days, you start seeing some actual results, like a clear day between, day 1 and day 90, is usually when people see a significant physical, mental change. And then that usually gets them even more motivated, because they're like, in 90 days, look how much different I look, and different how I feel. That's usually when they become addicted in a good way. Right. And then they're like, well, what else can I add now? Because they kind of got the workout thing routine dialed in. And then now it's like, okay, well, what would happen if I did start eating a little bit better? Yeah. And then boom, then they gave you more, and then it just compounds over. And then what if I get a little bit more sleep? What if I add in, some magnesium and some fish oil? Okay, now what if I add in a little bit of just accessory lifting afterwards? And then it just keeps going. It keeps going, and then people get better and better results. Yeah. And then if something does happen, guess what? They have a huge base. And then restarting, you're already, ahead by 50% than starting at baseline.
You talk about magnesium and fish oil. Those are things you told me about a long time ago. Well, more so magnesium more recently, but the fish oil, that I didn't know. A lot of people didn't know that, hey, this is something my body needs. If I'm going to be treating my body this way and working out this hard, this is one of those supplements that does make a big difference. And I thought to myself, oh, fish oil every day. Okay. But once I started doing it, you know what? Matt was right. And the magnesium, the same thing. The more I study magnesium and talk to other professionals about it, like, magnesium is an essential part of your daily routine.
Right. No, thank you. I'm glad that helped, because it's helped me so much, because I've tried so many different things, and I realized that it's just sticking with the basics. Like fish oil is pretty basic. I mean, if you eat enough fish, you don't need to supplement with it. But let's be real, it's really hard for us to eat enough fish, especially given
it's expensive too.
Yeah, especially given our stress levels, we actually probably need a little bit more. And then same thing with the magnesium. Like, if I didn't have magnesium, I probably wouldn't sleep as good as I do now. Especially, it helps with my sleep so much and my mood, and regulates my testosterone, all that fun stuff. Yeah,
everybody out there, magnesium's no joke. Look into it. It's going to help your sleep, and especially look into the cardiac benefits of it.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things that really kind of got my attention, was reading on how magnesium really contributes to a healthy circulatory system.
Yep. It's responsible for over 300 biochemical processes in the body. So it's a really good thing that covers all your bases. So try and go wide first before you go specific. A lot of people try and dive too specific into a specific supplement that's going to do something that's very niche, when really start broad and see how that feels, because that might fix multiple problems, and then you don't need to spend all this money on supplements. Yeah. Alrighty. So we talked about the past. We kind of talked about your opinions on fitness and how to filter it. Let's kind of talk about the future. Okay. So what are your future fitness goals, and how do you plan to achieve them?
I think for me, a lot of my goals, I have to give myself a lot of grace, because I don't have patience. So when we talk about like, anything related to overhead bar workout, right? My body, and it's my fault, but I'm stiff as a board. Like, I need to stretch. I need to stretch aggressively, probably daily, and I don't. It's something I know, because every time we're warming up, I'm hands down the least flexible individual in that class. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I think it's just, it's my lack of stretching outside the gym for sure. I could probably benefit from yoga. So I think for me, one of the big things is just becoming more flexible so that I can comfortably do a lot of the lifts that I've struggled with. My strengths are squats. I like rope climbs. I like pull-ups, I like strict pull-ups. But I don't want to just focus on things that I'm comfortable with.
Right.
I want to start growing, muscle ups. I think muscle ups are a big thing for me to set as a goal, because it is, I've always struggled with them. They say, if you can do so many strict pull-ups, you should be able to do a muscle up. Well, I think I've done one, and it was really weak, and I hurt myself doing it. So definitely looking at certain movements that I struggle with and improving those, focusing on the strength that's needed, do certain workouts to strengthen those muscles to get to where I can do those movements. But also, I think for me, it's continuing to really strengthen the things that I enjoy doing. So if I can do 3 rope climbs, my goal would be 5 rope climbs without just falling on my face.
Yeah.
But I think continuing to work on nutrition is a big thing. And fortunately, I have my wife is really supportive with that. So definitely looking at more time spent focused on the things that are challenging me. So continue to gain muscle, lose fat, run. I got to run more. That's one thing I always struggle with, running. I mean, I think I got up to 3 or 4 miles at most.
Yeah.
Because I got little legs. I'm not a big runner. Everybody's always outrunning me, and that's okay. And that's another thing. I've talk about ego. I'm the worst runner. I'm hands down probably one of the worst runners at Red Wolf, and I'm okay with that. I just want to, focus on the things and improve where I can. But I think nutrition's a big thing for me. Sleep, I can always work on getting more sleep because it really does benefit me. But I enjoy doing our little competitions. I've done a couple of them, and it really helps me to focus on something. I love doing Murph. But I think that the big thing for me is just continuing I want to be consistent. Like if I don't want to be able to do 10 strict pull-ups and then fall off and then only be able to do 2 or 3 like where I'm at now. I don't want to fall off again. And I don't mean literally fall off. I just mean not show up and be consistent with my workouts. So,
sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much, my goal would be to just be consistent and slowly continue to get better.
I love that. Yeah. Consistency is such an underrated quality, and patience, especially because in fitness, it does take time, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the training program is. It doesn't matter who your coach is. It doesn't matter. Well, I mean, I guess those stuff does matter, but consistency matters a lot more, because you can have perfect conditions. You can have a perfect coach. You can have a perfect training program, but if you don't actually show up and do it, it's not going to work regardless. Even if you do take steroids, it's not going to work, because if you don't show up, the weight's not going to lift itself.
Right.
All right. Any final thoughts before I wrap things up? Any final words of wisdom from Chris?
Oh, I just say that, I'm a big advocate for people taking care of themselves, both physically and mentally. And the thing that really helps, I think, regulate our lives, the stress of our lives, the lack of sleep, all the things that are going on, having a consistent place to come to improve your health, both physically, because it's going to improve mentally, because there's all kinds of studies that are out there that fitness is going to improve your mental health. If you're feeling low, if you're struggling with life, go sweat, go work out. Here's a crazy thing that you might not realize is that the relationships you make, that I've made, have been so helpful just walking through the regular everyday struggles of life.
Yep.
So I think my advice to anybody that's thinking about joining CrossFit or joining any kind of regulated workout where you walk in and basically here's the workout. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a class today. Anybody that's walking into something like that, just realize that keep showing up. It's going to hurt. You're going to have a sore back. Your knees are going to hurt. Your heart's going to feel like it's pounding out of your chest. But the results that come with consistency, I mean, I would say that I'm happier because of it. I'm happier because I like the way I look. I like the way I feel better. My joints don't hurt anymore or as much. And I'm going into that time of life where most people are starting to stop workout and they're just starting to get comfortable. Right. I'm kind of the opposite. I got comfortable and now I'm kind of awoken to this fitness journey. And I don't think, for me, there's no looking back. It's, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I would do without it at this point. I wish I would have started earlier, but I think that my life overall is much improved because of Red Wolf, because of you guys, because of the community. And, I did my part. I show up. But yeah, I would encourage anybody that's looking to restart their journey, restart taking care of themselves. If you want to be, you see these guys, guys like Matt, super fit, low fat, lots of muscle. You can do it. You can do it. You just got to put in the work. It might seem absolutely daunting, but it can be done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. Well, Chris, fantastic having you on the podcast.
Thanks, brother.
It was great hearing your story and just walking through all this with you. It was fantastic chatting with you today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. If this was helpful, please leave us a review so we know to make more content just like this. Please follow us on social media at Red Wolf CrossFit and shoot us a DM there. We'd love to hear